Hey innovator, have you ever struggled to turn your research results into design decisions? Do you want to learn a simple, time-saving technique for distilling key customer insights into design-ready stories that your product team will understand and use? Then stick around, because today I'm going to show you how to use a modern power tool called job stories to build a bridge between research and design. I'm Amy Jo Kim, founder of the Game Thinking Academy. In part 1 of this series, I showed you how to screen potential customers with a 6-question superfan survey. And in part 2, you learned how to identify your hardcore superfans and reveal their habits with 5-minute speed interviews. Now it's time to turn the results of your discovery research into design decisions. Piece of cake, right? Not so fast. Lots of teams get hung up at this stage and fail to get the value they need from their research efforts. It's not always obvious which insights to bring to your team and in what form. There are personas and user stories and empathy maps, lots of ways to communicate what you learned. Which one is best? Well, today I'm going to show you how to use job stories to get better, more actionable results from your research. Job stories come out of the Jobs to be Done framework that was popularized by Clayton Christensen and others. They're the secret weapon that's used by innovative startups like Intercom, who've popularized job stories as a better alternative to personas. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my personas. They're fun to build. I've used them for years. And once you've found product market fit, personas can be a great tool for segmenting and targeting your fast-growing audience. But when I've tried to use personas during early product development, that's when we ran into trouble. My teams and I would do research, and we'd come up with great personas. And then we'd look at the personas, and then look at the 50 things on the whiteboard we were trying to prioritize. And we realized that our personas didn't really help us strip down our ideas into a coherent MVP. So if you're doing product discovery or developing a major new initiative, job stories are going to be your new best friend. Here's how you can get started. Step 1, identify the most relevant patterns in your data. Look over your results and ask, what did we learn about our customers' daily routine? What did we uncover about any relevant habits or unmet needs they have? Did we notice any emotional or situational triggers that go along with those habits? If you're new to research, make sure you're looking for patterns that occur in multiple people, not just one interview. That's what makes it relevant. Step 2, turn your key patterns into job stories. Next, you'll turn those patterns into actionable form using a 3-part format. Unlike agile user stories, a job story is told in first person from the customer's point of view. Here's the format. When trigger, something happens. I want to engage in some purposeful activity so I can get the outcome that I'm after. Let's bring this to life with a story from Happify, the mental health app. We identified a pattern in our research we called post-drop-off doldrums. Over and over again, we heard parents with young children say something like, when I come home after drop-off and I face a pile of dishes, I want to do something pleasurable and calming for a few minutes so I can have a moment of escape and lift my mood before facing my chores. This pattern showed us that our superfans love lightweight, bite-sized content. And we also heard that they love something that felt like a true mood lifter and was like Pinterest, their site of choice for escapist procrastination. Now let's take a closer look at that job story. First comes the trigger, when I come home after drop-off. Next comes the desired activity. I want to do something pleasurable and calming. Last comes the desired outcome, so I can have a moment of escape and lift my mood. This framing gives us direction for what to deliver and steers us away from too complex solutions that wouldn't meet the emotional needs laid out here. A good job story like this one captures emotion and motivation without referencing any particular implementation or solution. In other words, it's written in problem space, not in solution space. That's something to keep in mind as you start practicing this powerful technique. And that brings us to step 3, highlight habit-building stories that you could piggyback on. Now, I want you to do something that will help you drive product adoption and build lasting habits. Look over all the job stories you created and ask yourself, where are the existing habits that we could build on? If you notice any job stories written around existing habits that your customers have, mark those and bring them to your product team because you've just discovered a gold mine. Now, I learned this the hard way. I failed multiple times to create a lasting customer habit when launching a new product. And the truth is, it's really hard to do that. But I've also learned that you can increase your odds of success substantially by sliding into your customer's lifestyle and piggybacking on their existing habits. Think about the Happify customer I just told you about. She had an existing habit, browsing Pinterest. It's pleasurable and accessible, but it wasn't always an effective mood lifter for her. So we saw that Happify could improve on that by pairing the UX style of Pinterest with science-based activities that are proven to lift your mood. And that insight is what helped us create a successful habit loop that's now engaged millions of customers. All job stories start with some internal trigger, an emotion or desire or unmet need. What you're looking for in a habit-based story is a situational trigger, some transition or ritual or event that happens repeatedly in your customer's daily life. This will make it easier for you to hook into an existing habit and drive your product's adoption. For example, the situational trigger for our Happify customers is kid drop-off, a daily occurrence for many parents. Making this better is a potentially huge opportunity. We use this job story to inform our MVP design and our first pilot test, which helped that project get off the ground and find product market fit. So there it is, your quick introduction to the design power of job stories. Let's quickly review what you learned today. First, you learned to identify key patterns in your data, the behaviors and attitudes that you observed in more than one person. Next, you learned to turn the most relevant patterns into this three-part job story format: the trigger, activity, and the desired outcome. Finally, you learned to highlight the habit-based stories that emerge from your research and capture any situational triggers that'll help your product team drive engagement from the ground up. Now it's time for you to go out and put this powerful technique to work for you. I want you to try it out on your next project, or maybe try it out on the project you're doing right now. Don't worry if it feels odd or uncomfortable at first. It can take some time to get used to this powerful methodology. And I gotta tell you, practice makes perfect. Once you're comfortable generating job stories from your research, you'll see a noticeable uptick in your productivity and effectiveness. Did you like this video? Give me a like, or even better, leave me a comment and tell me how you're gonna apply job stories in your work life. I'll see you right here next week on Game Thinking TV. Bye for now. This concludes our three-part tutorial series on finding and leveraging your superfans. We've got more great tutorials coming up for you, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a thing. Here's to your success.